Hey all, and welcome to Shadow of Space, and we're commenting on another BCP video. This one is titled, Socialist Mayor Zohran Mamdani moves to seize private apartments to give to liberal nonprofits. This was uploaded May 26th. This is being recorded May 27th, and link is in the description.
In this case,
How many violations did you see today?
Oh,
well, all the window
okay.
spring balances that have to be replaced.
Those were two, right?
Those were 1, 2, 3.
Three?
Those were 3. The AC.
4?
Okay. We're also going to hit them with the window guard violation, and then we have here the one violation for the local law 86.
Which is the incomplete information on the side?
No, that's another one.
That's another one.
That's a different one. So that's 2.
Another one.
Yes, so that's 2.
Okay. It was a pleasure to be here at this building with a number of inspectors from HPD to ensure that these conditions are up to code. And what these inspectors showed me and showed tenants across this building is the inspections for heat violations, for paint peeling violations, for even just the information that is plastered as you come into the building. Over the course of this inspection, they found about 6 different violations that they will now issue directly to the landlord. Now for any
So his plan is to just evict everyone that lives here, and then what?
New Yorker who calls this city home, know that when you see those kinds of violations or you feel them, call 311, report them. HPD will come out and inspect them, and if they are indeed violations of housing code, we will hold landlords accountable.
Starting early.
Mamdani just posted a video saying that his first order of business on day 1 is going to be for the city to take ownership of people's private properties. And how is he going to go about this? First of all, he's going to make it so unaffordable for these landlords to make any repairs because of rent freezing. If you freeze the rent, then the landlords eventually won't be able to.
Like, why do you think, Mamdani, that these buildings get as run down as they are? Do you think that it's just the greedy landlords just refuse to pay it? I mean, that's possible, I guess.
Pay for the repairs because they're not getting the same income, they're not making the same amount of money as they used to. Number 2, he's then going to give these people fines because they're not doing the repairs, and these fines are going to be huge. Then once the city comes back in and says, oh, you know what, you didn't do the repairs, you didn't pay the fines.
Was it Washington? Or was it New York? Where they were having to put in some sort of gates that police could see through, and they were talking about how they would get fined if they were caught without one of these gates.
We are now going to take your property because you are an unfit landlord. The city's going to take the property, seize it, take ownership, and then they're going to turn that property into subsidized housing. Who's that housing?
That's fine, because all that's going to happen is all of those wealthy people who work in this building to actually maintain it, which I guess they aren't really being able to do at this point, they're all just going to leave. Tax-paying citizens are just going to leave, are going to walk away.
It's going to benefit criminals, it's going to benefit illegals, it's going to benefit the prostitutes, it's going to benefit all of the people that Mamdani is going to let out of the prisons, and on top of it, there aren't going to be any police because that's his other order of business, is going to be to defund the police. Basically,
yeah. I think it's safe to say that New York is going to turn into a shithole pretty quick.
Into a third world country. Meanwhile, white liberal women are literally like parading around, singing the Little Mamdani song, thinking that they did such a good job. When you live next to criminals and you're paying $6,000 a month and they're not, then we'll see how happy you are.
Boy. So we got to talk about a full mask off moment here for
Zohran. But they want it, so let it happen. I don't know.
The socialist mayor of New York City who is going full socialist. We're not talking about Scandinavian style socialism. You know these people like Kyle Kuklinski and others claim that, see, we're not really socialist. We're a democratic socialist, right? It's like, okay, so does that mean that you're not authoritarian socialist? Like, what does that actually mean? I mean, but we do know that they are authoritarian socialists because they love authoritarianism, right? As long as it aligns with the left, right? This is why they're boohoo, whining, crying about socialist dictators like Nicolas Maduro and what's happening in Cuba, right? We know that they love authoritarianism. These people love to play games with words, right? But they're actually really socialists, right? They're Marxists at the core, and they do not believe in private ownership. They don't. They believe that all private property should be owned by the government, but they'll claim that, well, it's, for the people, right? And it's not for the people. It's for their own power and control. Okay?
It's not for the people because you have to appeal to Mamdani in order to get access to it. If you can't just set up a nuclear plant in your backyard, if you have to go through Mamdani in order to do that, then you basically have a king. That's what you want. I don't.
And Zohran is doing what he promised that he was going to do.
You want a king, you want an oligarchy, you want a small group of people to make decisions and decide for everyone else in the group.
He is now moving to seize property from landlords that he feel are not good, right? That are neglecting their property, and part of the reason why they're neglecting the property is because of the rent freezes that Zohran also supports. He's like, look, if you're not gonna pay to keep the building up to code, then we're going to seize it from private ownership, and we're gonna give it to nonprofits or even the tenants. Again, this is textbook socialism from Zohran that he is announcing he is going to execute on this plan. Take a look.
We will deliver the accountability you deserve from your landlord by doing a roof-to-basement inspection of your building.
He is going to single-handedly tank your economy. I just want you to be aware of that.
Finally, through our new citywide campaign, Fix the City, we will focus on the worst landlords in New York City.
He says that he balanced the budget, and now he has this plan to basically buy these properties from these landlords and then give the land out for free and make no money off it.
When necessary,
that's a whole bunch of debt that you're going to accrue to have to repair and maintain and upkeep this building that I can guarantee you haven't factored into your budget. This is just more spending.
Legal action to remove negligent owners and property managers. And for buildings that have suffered chronic neglect, we will work to transfer ownership to responsible stewards. Stewards that include community land trusts, nonprofits,
people that don't pay taxes, people that don't generate revenue, and that don't contribute to the state.
Profits, or even the tenants themselves.
Because this is what he wants to do with that one guy that he called out. That's what he wants to do with his building, is he wants to basically evict him. He wants him to run away so that he can take that building and he can give it to homeless people.
The third core plank of our plan is years overdue. We will deliver the transformative investments that public housing has long needed, but not received.
Yeah. So you see that, you heard that. I just want you guys to understand the socialist logic, right? Or the illogic behind this.
Yeah, it's easy. Raise property taxes, but then eliminate the people from those positions that actually pay property taxes, so no one pays property taxes, so you don't make any of that money back in taxes.
Because this is illogical, right, at its core. It makes absolutely no sense, okay? And it's a damn shame that this guy got elected, but we got a bunch of dummies that live in this country that vote. Unfortunately, they vote for stuff like this, not understanding that this is bad, right? That this does not make economic sense, okay? Because this is the same guy who wants to freeze the rent, okay, in these stabilized apartments. So he wants rent stabilized apartments that
Well,
do not allow.
when he says that he's going to give these buildings to more responsible stewards, what does that mean? It means he's going to take control of it. It means that the government is just going to own it. What else does that mean? Who would want to own an apartment complex in New York to rent it out to tenants? When people wantonly throw pipe bombs around all over the place, I can't imagine why anyone would actually want to own anything there. So he has to give it to nonprofits and people who wouldn't pay anything on that property.
Landlords to increase the rent, but yet their costs continue to go up, right? Because of inflation, the cost of repairs,
But
the cost of
at the same time, he thinks this is going to save New York, so
insurance,
let him do it.
The cost of just keeping up the apartment goes up, but yet they can't increase the rent, okay? And because they can't increase the rent, then lo and behold, what happens? Well, the landlords are going to skip out, right? You're not going to have the repairs be done, okay? They're not going to keep up with the maintenance, okay? And then we know New York City, they got a whole lot of red tape when it comes to this stuff. So if they cannot keep...
Because ultimately what's going to happen is the government's going to pay for it, which again is just more spending.
To code, because they can't afford to, literally can't afford to do it, then Zohran is like, hey, you know what? Cool, well, we're just going to take it, right? We're going to take it because you didn't, repair the apartment or the building's not kept up the code like we want, despite the fact that the government is the reason why they can't afford to repair it or keep it up the code. They don't care. They're like, we're going to seize it and we're going to give it to some woke liberal nonprofit and we're going to give it to the tenants, right? As if that's actually going to fix the problem. So you're talking about a privately owned slum ghetto is now going to be a publicly owned slum ghetto or a nonprofit owned slum/ghetto.
They're really just taking the ghetto that already exists and they're just expanding it to take up more of the city.
Here. That's what's happening. It's shameful stuff, but again, this is what these individuals voted for.
This is what
New York City Democratic Mayor Zohran Mamdani plans to see.
So, if you live in New York City, I don't know what to tell you. Best case scenario would probably be just to leave. Worst case scenario, you stay here and you just let it happen, I guess.
Seize neglected properties from landlords and transfer them to new ownership groups. Quote, for buildings that have suffered chronic neglect, we will work to transfer ownership to responsible stewards that include community land trusts, nonprofits, or even the tenants themselves, Mamdani said. Quote, when necessary, we will take aggressive legal action to remove negligent owners and property managers. Mamdani did not detail how the city would legally seize or transfer ownership of privately held properties. One possible mechanism is New York City's controversial third-party transfer program, which allowed the city to foreclose on distressed buildings with severe housing code violations, unpaid taxes, and municipal repair liens before transferring them to nonprofit housing groups or tenant organizations. Under the program, landlords who failed to resolve violations or pay city debt could face foreclosure proceedings initiated by the city. Once the city gained control of a property, ownership could then be transferred to nonprofits, community land trusts, or tenant groups. Now, is anybody convinced that nonprofits, community land trusts, or tenant groups, all liberal, right? All liberal groups, by the way, right? Let's keep that in mind. Is anybody convinced that they're going to be able to turn these slums into places that are...
Well, community land trusts or tenant groups. What does this mean? This means that instead of the landlord paying the property fees and paying the property taxes, that means that the tenants directly have to pay the property taxes. Community land trusts would be the same thing. Again, I believe nonprofits, I don't think they pay taxes. So if you gave them to nonprofits, you would be making no money off it. Again, what is the point of having something like property tax if people who don't pay taxes are going to own the buildings? You're just cutting into your revenue. Kathy Hochul was a fool. I don't know why she bothered to give him that 4 billion over 2 years. I don't know why she bothered. That was such a
Actually
waste.
pleasant to live? I don't believe so, right? Because again, the point is not about making the quality of living better. It's about executing on their ideological vision,
As
right?
well as what's going to happen to the tenants during this transfer. Do you think you're going to be able to stay in your room? Do you think that you're going to be able to continue to own or rent out your space?
It's about. Critics argued the policy
If
enabled the
if
government
these places are deemed unfit to be habitated, uninhabitable, if they're deemed hazards, you're all going to get kicked out. Like, if that's his plan, is to say, well, this building is too run down and needs too many repairs, you're I don't think you're going to be able to stay there.
to strip owners of valuable equity through aggressive code enforcement and foreclosure actions. The TPT program was paused in 2019 after backlash from property rights advocates and elected officials. The New York City Council is currently considering legislation that could restart the program. Mamdani said his rental ripoff hearings were instrumental in shaping his housing agenda. The Daily Wire attended the first hearing in Brooklyn and spoke with tenants paying well below market rents in stabilized apartments who urged Mamdani to freeze rents while also demanding repairs and building improvements from landlords. Again, it's nonsensical. We're dealing with people who are economically illiterate. And this is really a failure of our education system. It really is. Like these people don't understand. You're living in rent stabilized units that are well below the market rate for rent.
See, it is, but the problem is that schools nowadays are teaching people that socialism is the way. It's not that they aren't learning capitalism. It's that they're learning socialism. They're learning this.
Rent, right? So you already are paying less than everybody else, okay? In the market for rent, for a roof over your head. And at the same time, they're like, no. The landlords need to be spending money to improve the rent stabilized units, right? So they're demanding that landlords not be able to make profit while at the same time saying, no, you have to use those non-existent profits, those profits that we're not allowing you to make.
I mean, the fact that this program that allowed the government to be able to put these harsh penalties in place for landlords, the fact that it was stopped in 2019 and it hasn't been restarted again, should tell you that people who own property are struggling. The answer is not to kick the people out because they aren't doing a good job. That doesn't do anything. It's overly aggressive. There's absolutely no reason for it. You could pay for the repairs and have the landlord stay there and have that be a better long-term solution than just mindlessly kick the landlords out and hope that some rich billionaire investor who would have the money to be able to do the renovations, rebuy the property, and pay the rent on the building, pay the taxes on the building until their money dried up and then they were forced to leave and the next person took over. What is the plan here?
Use that in order to make sure that
Well, the plan is to have government-owned housing. The point is to have Zohran Mamdani be the king, be a king, be the landlord of New York City.
we have a pleasant place to stay, right? To upkeep on the buildings. Again, it's nonsensical. It doesn't make sense. It's economic illiteracy.
Well, See, because they think that they're getting rid of landlords, but you're not getting rid of landlords. You're just making someone else the landlord. Great. So you, as tenants, now own the building. So who of you is going to pay to fix the AC? You know that's going to be like thousands of dollars, right? So who's going to pay to fix it?
And that's why people like Zohran Mamdani are getting voted into office, is because a vast majority of the public is economically illiterate. Okay? If we
No, it isn't that they're just economically illiterate. It's because they're as dumb as he is.
actually taught people economic
They're on the same
literacy,
level,
financial
you see.
literacy, in high school, in middle school, in elementary school, really out the womb, right? Out the womb, okay? This is what people should be learning. We wouldn't get this. The biggest problem with these socialists getting elected in this country is the fact that people are just not very educated on this stuff. They're not. Again, it blows my mind. It's so frustrating. And again, this is the flaw in so-called democracy, right? You have people voting for nonsense, right? This is insanity. This is insanity. But, you know, hey, they deserve it. Again, it's just, it's going to be a privately owned...
Because this is the thing about democracy, is that if they too thoroughly implode and destroy themselves, then they will be worthless, they will be worth nothing, and we would essentially be able to buy them back for pennies on the dollar and just do whatever we wanted with it.
Slum to a publicly owned slum.
Yep.
Slum, right, is still what it's going to be, right? Let's be honest, okay? These are not...
It's just going to be a bigger slum. It's just going to encompass more of the city.
Magically
Socialism is just bread lines for everyone. Except Zohran Mamdani, who gets to eat like a king, and the people that he decides gets to eat like a king. Everyone else is a peasant. This is socialism. You're all fools.
That are pleasant to live. Let's be honest. Mamdani's latest housing proposal appears aimed at balancing those competing pressures. On Tuesday, Mamdani also appeared to backtrack on his campaign promise to impose a blanket rent freeze on rent-stabilized apartments. Under his revised proposal, some exempted landlords would still be allowed to impose a one-time rent increase on vacant units, even if a rent freeze is enacted. The Wall Street Journal reported that dozens of landlords could qualify for the exemption. Rent-stabilized apartments are already subject to a 3% cap on annual rent increases. Yeah, so if inflation is running at, 5, 6, 7%, right, then you're in the hole, okay, when it comes to the rent-stabilized apartments in New York City. And then you wonder why it's so hard to build affordable housing, because you can't make money off of it, right? If you want to build affordable housing...
Well, you're not going to... Even if you build the house, it's going to go to people who can't pay for it. So it's a sunk cost that over time you're going to be losing money on. Most people who give out things like credit look at something like that and they say, why would I ever loan you money? I would never get it back. I might as well just give it to you, no strings attached, because I know that it's just going to be gone. There's no reason to.
You have to be able to make money off of it. Now, they do build a lot of luxury apartments in New York City. Well, it's because they're allowed to make money off those apartments. So those are the ones that get built, okay? But the ones that don't get built are the ones that are supposed to be quote-unquote affordable, because again, you can't make money. If you can't make profit, there is no incentive to build, okay? People don't build things out of the kindness of their heart. That's what these socialists don't understand. You have to have a profit motive. People are self-interested, right? And that profit motive is what motivates people to get out and to do things that ultimately benefit.
No, but they're socialists. So supposedly they're supposed to be community-minded. They should be happy to work 24-hour shifts at the hospital for nothing. They should gladly do it. They should feel honored to be able to get up every morning and go to the hospital and work. Who are you going to get to clean your toilets, Donald Trump? You want to live in a society where they have to clean those toilets for nothing. I like
Society as a whole. Having the government get involved and do stuff like this just makes it worse. It's not going to make it better. What the government needs to do, if Mamdani actually wants to make New York City more affordable, right? If he wants more affordable housing, he needs to get rid of the rent stabilization policies. He needs to get rid of the red tape. He needs to work to lower taxes. He needs to incentivize business to come to New York City and building in the city. But this is not doing that. That is the exact opposite. And he's doing it to appeal to these far left lunatics who are economically illiterate. And again, this is the unfortunate reality of what's happening in this country. We have economic illiterates, okay, deciding these elections. And this is what you get as a result. So again, congratulations, New York. Okay, you're going to go from privately owned slums, right, to publicly owned slums. Still going to be a slum, not going to get better. But hey, we're gonna see. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and
I think that if you are a landlord, if you are a business owner, no matter what kind of business, you're small time, corporate, food, clothes, doesn't matter. Just leave. They don't want you. If you believe that what you do should be driven by profit incentive, then leave. If you would gladly get up every day and do your job for nothing, then stay. They don't want you. The capitalist system in New York is dying. The people there have decided that capitalism is the greatest evil that humankind has ever devised, and they are getting rid of it. If you still think that capitalism is good, then I would not stay in New York City. Billionaires, poor people, doesn't matter. I wouldn't stay there. Absolutely not. Because he's talked about it. He wants state-run grocery stores. He wants to own these things. He wants to be a landlord. He wants to be a king. If he wants to be a king, then let him. It's the people voted him in. The people wanted this. So if Kathy Hochul is starting to sweat, thinking that this is all a really bad idea, she has no one to blame. They asked for it. This is what they want. So they're gonna get it.